gonna make a wonderful dish. We're gonna make a quiche. We're actually gonna make 2 quiches. What I'm gonna show you is, instead of making your own dough from scratch, I know that a lot of people come home from work and just don't have the time to start making dough from scratch. So I'm gonna show you a super easy way to make a wonderful, delicious, healthy quiche by using a gluten-free crust. Now, this make is called Holy. I found it in the freezer section of the supermarket. It's wonderful because it's gluten-free, but they also have regular flour, whole wheat flour, but for people that need gluten-free and are celiac like me, we do have the option. So I just wanted to show you, this comes, it's 2 doughs, 2 pie doughs, and it comes already in the aluminum dish. So all we have to do is chop our vegetables and put it all together, and I'll show you exactly how easy it is. So I'm going to show you the ingredients that we need. We'll use 3 celery sticks. I usually cut off the ends like this, and I like keeping the ends for making soup. So we'll keep those on the side, and we'll just use the 3 branches of celery, 3 to 4 carrots, 3 shallots, a big bag of baby spinach. So I use 500 grams. You can buy that big plastic bin of baby spinach, or you can buy a nice big bag of baby spinach. And what we use, I love using cheddar. So cheddar cheese is wonderful because it's lactose free. So for people that are lactose intolerant, this is the perfect cheese for you. And we're gonna use some Parmigiano Reggiano. We're just gonna grate that on top towards the end. So let me chop everything up. Let me steam my spinach, and we'll be right back. So here we go. And before we start stir frying, what I forgot to mention to you when I mentioned all the ingredients is, of course, we need some eggs. We need 8 eggs. What's a quiche without eggs? I'm gonna show you exactly how this is all put together. Easy breezy, here we go. Olive oil, always olive oil. So we'll just put about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. We'll just wait for the pan to heat up. Put it like on a medium high because we want to stir fry the vegetables. We don't want to steam them and have all this water. So here we are, we're back, and I chopped up all my vegetables. We have the onion, the celery, the carrots, chopped mushrooms, and what I did is steam the spinach, and just make sure you put it in a colander, and just make sure that all the water, you can actually take the pieces and squeeze it to make sure it's dry. So what we do is, I just put 3-4 tablespoons of olive oil, and we just put our onions. We'll start with the onions. I like starting with the onions. Just give it a little stir like this. Just pass it like this in the oil. And then you can just add on your celery and your carrots. So here we go, celery and carrots. We'll give this a little stir for about 5 minutes or so. You just want to make sure that it's well stir fried, not too cooked, because the quiche is going to be cooking for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, depending on your oven. Okay, great. So this has been stir frying for 5 minutes. As you can see, the onions are starting to get golden brown. Now we just add our mushrooms, because the mushrooms, we put them at the end because it literally takes a minute or 2. And we're just gonna give it a nice little stir like this. At this point, we can actually add our salt and pepper. So we're gonna put our salt and pepper right now. And the timer tells me that we've been stir frying for 5 minutes, which is perfect. Here we go. We just add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Here we can see now that the mushrooms have wilted. We don't want them to wilt too much, but just enough. And now at this point we can add our spinach. As you can see, it's very, very dry, which is exactly what we want. So we just mix it in, break it up, because we squeezed it so it made like little balls. So at this point you can close your stove and mix it up like this. And what we'll do is we're just gonna let this rest for about 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, because we want it to cool down. Because what happens is when you beat your eggs and put your eggs in here, if it's too hot, the egg will actually cook. And we don't want the egg to cook right now. We just want to incorporate the egg to pour it into our quiche. So we'll let it rest. So here we are, we waited half an hour. It's nice and cool to the touch, which is exactly what we want. And what I did is I put the two quiches right here on top of a pan, a pizza pan. And the reason for that is that just in case it bubbles over, it overflows, you won't have a mess in your oven, so it'll just fall in the pan. What we did here is we beat 8 eggs. We put half a teaspoon of salt, so not too much. And the reason for that is that we're gonna be adding our beautiful Parmigiano Reggiano. So you take a nice big scoop like this, nice big handful, see? We don't want to put too much. We want to save the rest to just sprinkle on top. So we beat that in with our eggs. And like I mentioned in previous videos, I always love to freeze my parsley. This way you always have some on hand. You don't have to worry about washing, cutting. So you just put in like maybe a tablespoon and a half of fresh parsley. So you mix all that up. The parsley with the egg and the Parmigiano Reggiano. What we do is we take this egg mixture and we just pour it on top of our cold vegetables and just give it a nice, beautiful stir like this. You just want to make sure you incorporate all your vegetables. You don't want to have parts that have the egg and parts that don't, so mix it all up like this. It's a beautiful thing. We'll just take a nice little spoon like this and we just fill it up like so. Now the pie shells can be still frozen, so you can use it frozen, or if they're semi-defrosted, it's not a problem at all. Really makes no difference. So here we go. We fill up the 2 pie shells, just like so. And this is a great meal in itself because you have the vegetables, you have the egg. Sometimes what's really nice to do, I didn't have any today, but what I sometimes do is, if you like tofu, what you could do is slice up your tofu and stir fry it when you stir fry your vegetables. There we go. So we don't put the cheddar on top right now. What I like to do is just bake it. So we'll put it in the oven at 350 and we'll put it for 45 minutes. Here we go. So 45 minutes. Once it's cooked, 45 minutes, we pull it out. We put our cheddar cheese. We sprinkle some Parmigiano Reggiano. Put it back in for a couple of minutes, and then you can even put it on broil to make sure your cheese is nice and melted and roasted. And we're done. Here we go. The stove just rang. 45 minutes. So what we do is we'll pull out the tray just for a little moment. Do you see how nice and puffy they got? So we'll just sprinkle a little bit of the Parmigiano Reggiano like this. Not too much because there's already quite a bit inside. And we'll put our cheddar like this on top. And this is all gonna melt and it's gonna be delicious. So what we do is we put it back in the oven and we'll just close the stove and put it in set on broil 350. So what that will do is it will melt the cheese and at the same time it'll brown it, and I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. Here we go. So we just pulled it out of the oven. Look at these beautiful quiches. They look absolutely delicious. So we're gonna let them just cool down a bit before we cut them. In the meantime, I'm gonna toast some bread. And we're gonna make some garlic bread and we'll serve the garlic bread with a nice piece of quiche. And here we go, this is all ready to serve. I love to serve 2 nice slices of quiche with a nice romaine lettuce and a nice arugula. Serve it with some nice garlic bread.
And here you go.